Welcome back. This is Wisconsin Shoe Guy. Today, we're going to take a look at the trunk show for Allen Edmonds. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, Allen Edmonds is a shoe brand out of the United States in Port Washington, Wisconsin. They are my first good shoe brand of Goodyear welted shoes, and I pretty much owned exclusively Allen Edmonds from 1995 when I bought my shoes for my wedding until 2018 when I started transitioning into collecting shoes. So as I'm in year three of my journey, excuse me, easy for me to say, I've kind of moved away from Allen Edmonds as my primary brand. And now I own maybe 75, 80 brands. But I am still a fan of the brand and the quality of the shoes that they make. They are not a high-end shoe like a Yohei Fukuda or something like that, but they are a very, very good, well-made shoe, and they last for a long time, for forever, really. The challenge that you have with them is in recrafting. They can only be recrafted about 3, 4 times, usually three, if they're being done in factory because they rip the welts off. But you can have them done by a cobbler and keep them for a long, long time. There are NOS pairs of Allen Edmonds out there that are 40, 50 years old, and not NOS necessarily, but there are definitely pairs that are out there that are that old, still on the market today. NOS means new old stock, and for those of you who are in vintage, I apologize for the slip. Obviously, there's not a lot of NOS shoes from that era. So moving along, this is a trunk show for Shell Cordovan shoes and boots, and they have a really interesting group of shoes. Now, this is the Freeport. This is not normally available in Shell Cordovan, and they put it in Shell Cordovan for the show. And they have their standard colors, which is your burgundy, your chili, your black, and your brown. And then they've added two colors, which is natural, which is here. There's also a version of it down here in a strand. And then they have this marbled black, which is got this beautiful green tone to it. So to look at the rules and what this is you can order in store from October 29th to November 8th. They actually opened this up online for the first time this year. So you can actually place orders online. You can't get every option online. So if there are options that I cover on here that you don't see when you're trying to order online, just call a store. They'll be happy to help you. And they're going to have the first leg of the show started Friday last week in Los Angeles, Michigan Avenue in Chicago, Madison Avenue, Nashville, Dallas, and KOP. Each of those stores had mixer events last Friday. And then this week, they're going to be in Boston, Newbury, Indianapolis, Denver, Tampa, DC City Center, and Scottsdale, which is actually where I buy my shoes from, Scottsdale, even though I live in Wisconsin. And that's going to be Friday, November 5th. Now, they will have samples of shoes in various makeups, but you can order from any of the, I think, 38 stores around the country, plus the 5 outlets as well. So a lot of you don't have to be there in person. You can the mixers are there, but they're just a normal piece. And then the styles available, they have the Park Avenue, which is their Cap-Toe Oxford, the Strand, which is a semi-brogue, Randolph, which is a loafer, the Higgins Mill, which is a service boot, you've got the Landon, which is a jumper boot, the Freeport, which is like the Alden Indy, which is a apron boot, not really a mock toe, but an apron, and then the Park Sneaker, which is a Park Avenue that has been turned into a sneaker. So Cap-Toe Oxford sneaker. So all of them available with Shell Cordovan, and then you can have a number of different soles that you can choose from with a Redenbach sole, a double Redenbach sole, day-night soles in various colors, as well as a V-Tredge sole, which is kind of that half sole that's actually integrated into the construction versus something that's slapped on the top later. They are not allowing edges and welts. So if you look at my old videos on trunk shows, they offered the ability to change the edge color and the welt type. So you could have a flat welt, go to a split reverse welt, etc. They're not doing that this time. So that's another part. Now they say that there's a usual $120 special markup fee that is waived during the event. Now, listen, I'm not paid by Alan Edmonds. I'm just a fan, and that fee doesn't actually exist because you can't do a special makeup ever. So I call a little BS on that, in my opinion. But that they're just charging list price for the shoes instead of having them on sale. They cannot be returned, so make sure that your size is dialed in. And then there are a lot of variations in the new colors in natural and marble, so don't you have to be comfortable with that. And then you that is pretty much it, right? They are expecting 8 to 12 week wait on construction. Now, if you look at the welt and ink edge colors, they basically talk about the color of the Cordovan and then what the welt color and the ink edge color will be, just so that there's consistency there and you know what those are. And then they have this awesome thing here, which actually goes into what the style numbers are, what the standard bottom is, and then what the options for additional bottoms are. And I neglected to mention the extra large Henry Commando as options for the soles. So those are other ones that you should consider. Really interesting there. And then a couple of additional pictures. This is a strand natural, but it hasn't been finished, so it doesn't have the edge on it yet. This is a pair of Higgins Mill boots in the black marbled shell. Now, you'll notice that this shell looks a lot very similar to the Meerman shell that I have, which is Ricardo shell. This is Horween marbled shell, and that's important to note. Horween is the best shell Cordovan. And generally speaking, my experience has been that where Meerman will use a thinner piece of Cordovan because they like using thinner pieces in order to make the shoes. Alan Edmonds uses the thicker pieces, which are a little bit harder to work with, but do last longer and I think actually perform better. And Horween, I think, is also better, so that's something to consider. They're not inexpensive. $725 for a pair of boots, 595 or 550 for sneakers, and I think it's 695 for shoes. They're it's an investment, but if you're into shell Cordovan, these are not bad prices. Generally speaking, in the higher end brands, the markup for shell Cordovan on a regular shoe is between $600 and $800. Now that's not true when you look at CNES or Meerman or some of the less expensive brands. But they're also usually getting their shell Cordovan either thinner, or they're getting it from tanneries in Argentina or other places where they're not as expensive. So another angle on that Higgins Mill boot here. Now if you this is a Park Avenue. Again, has not been finished. Now this is the boot that I bought. I bought a this Freeport boot. It looks a lot like the Alden Indy, although the stitching on the side is a little different. And the way that they do the facing is different. But the apron is similar. Now, this is a machine stitch shoe, not a hand stitch suit like the Alden or boot. So there's a pretty big difference in the apron construction. However, the overall look is very similar. I chose to have this made in natural shell Cordovan with a double leather sole because I think that this look is a little, too rough and tumble for me. So that was just what I've decided to do. So pretty excited about those different colors in there, and then that again. So that is that. If you want to look at them online, right, you simply click on the shop now, and it brings up the show. You can see my internet is slow, mostly because I'm doing something else while I'm doing all this on this laptop. And you can see they have the different colors here. So you can choose different colors right on the screen. You don't have to wait and sift through for the colors. So just pick the style you want, then you can go through. And then when you go into a particular style, here, let's look at the Higgins Mill. It has natural shell Cordovan, and then has the marbled black. And then you can choose in your size, your width, and this is why people choose Allen Edmonds, because they do have a variety of sizes and a variety of widths available. And then you have this option to customize your sole, and you can look at the double Redenbach. Now, it is important to note, This is open channel stitching, so it is not does not have the fine finish that you will see on a lot of the European shoemakers. The edges are clean, but they're not as well finished as you'll see on the others either. And they're sometimes, and I don't know about the Higgins Mill boot. I don't think it does have any welt finish at all. But it is a boot, so it doesn't necessarily have to. But that is another area that their finishing is just a little bit lesser than you'll see on some of the other brands. That's not to say it's terrible. It's fine. You can see here on the V tread, they don't necessarily groove out. They don't cut it here. You can see it looks kind of ratty. But that's what you get when you're saving this money. You get high quality materials, and the construction is just fair. So I don't mean to be mean about it, but I think it's important to just be upfront, know what you're buying, and why you're able to get a good deal. Now, the blue day night soles are an exclusive to Allen Edmonds, so that's an exciting option if you're into that type of thing. So is the olive, as I understand it. This is the extra light rubber sole, and then the commando rub sole. Now, this one you can see this goes all the way to the edge, but it's kind of a not as thick a lug. This has a thicker lug, but it doesn't go all the way to the edge, so it has more of a dress shoe look from the outside than this one does. So that is how you order on the Trunk Show. It is pretty easy. You can always pick up the phone, call your favorite store, and you can do it. Now, what if you can't afford $725 for a pair of boots, but you really like the idea of Shell Cordovan and you really like the idea of Allen Edmonds? Well, there is another option for you. Allen Edmonds is going to be making all of these shoes and boots as part of their regular production for special makeups. They're going to make some mistakes. Those mistakes can be factory seconds, and those factory seconds will be sold at a discount. So where a normal Park Avenue Shell Cordovan shoe is $6.95, you can buy a factory second Park Avenue Shell Cordovan shoe for $4.99, and you can do that at shoebank.com. Now the sneakers, by the way, I think it's worth noting because it is a pretty cool looking sneaker. And if you look at the soles for the sneakers, they have some pretty cool options here for soles. Um, it looks a little like day night, but it's like a day night sneaker, and it comes in these colors in addition to the white. So kind of cool there. And that they do have these in multiple Cordovan colors. They just don't have the website, so you can change the color. Don't ask me why. I'm sure that they had their reasoning for it. But so anyway, so there are plenty of options, very interesting things to do, and a lot of choices to make. If you want a factory second in one of these shoes, I strongly recommend calling a store and asking them to look out for your size. They do have a website just for factory seconds. They have some on this website, but the website to go to for just factory seconds is shoebank.com. And shoebank.com is you actually search by your size. So let's say that you're an 11D. You can search by last. You can look by style name, or you can just do a search. And then here you can see it. Now, the easiest way to find Cordovan is simply to sort by price, high to low, because Cordovan is all top. And there you can see the Cordovan styles that they have. Now, normally they have chili, brown, black, and uh, burgundy, of course, burgundy, as a regular Cordovan colors. So those you can see now, and like the Randolph, which is part of the show, you can see that they have those available today. They used to have a style called the Patriot, which is a little bit of a narrower vamp for those who are interested, but that they did have that out there as well. So this is an older pair that is out with a nice discount on it. So interesting things to look at. You can learn a lot about their shoes on their main website, and then go and look here for opportunities. Now, if you are one of those guys who's got a little bit of OCD and can't stand anything being out of alignment, can't stand anything being imperfect on your shoes, do not buy a factory second. By their nature, they are ones that did not pass quality control check, and that's why they're pulled to the side. So if you want everything to be perfect, uh, this is not the place for you. But if you can't afford the shell Cordovan at full price, and you're looking for an opportunity to save some money, and that's what you want, then this can be an option you should consider. So this is Wisconsin Shoe Guy. Thank you for taking the time to watch. I hope that it was educational, and let me know if you have questions.